Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Well, welcome guys to Owning Her Health. And today I'm super excited because I finally get to face chat with a cyber friend of mine, colleague of mine, Dr. Brianne Grogan from, she's over in Germany now, but I'm super excited. So thank you so much, Brianne, for being part of this. Why don't you introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are, where you're from, and a little bit of what you're doing now.
Wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. I thank you so much for having me and inviting me in. Yes, I am a doctor of physical therapy and women's health and nutrition coach, and I'm currently living in Germany, although I'm from Oregon, so I consider myself to be an Oregon native, and that's my home, and it's where I started my business, actually. And then we kind of uprooted and moved over here for my husband's job, and we've been here for 5 years now and really enjoy it. It's a beautiful place to live, and I've been able to grow my online business. So while here in Germany, I haven't been in the clinic working in the same capacity as I was working before, but I've really been able to expand in a whole new way that's been a lot of fun and a big learning process. But it's been good. I've written a book. I have a book called Lady Bits. And it's all about understanding your body and just really taking care of your body. And again, understanding what's going on, your anatomy, all of these basics that I think a lot of people don't actually know. They may think they know the basics, but when they dig a little deeper, maybe not, because we're really not taught this stuff in school. So my hope is that, that'll open some eyes and minds. And then my online business that I've been doing lately and focusing on has been really with a holistic health approach in mind. So it's about fitness, which is kind of my first love is fitness and women's health and pelvic floor health and all of that jazz. So I really bring in a lot of my physical therapy background. But then I also incorporate a lot of mind-body stuff, a lot of nutrition. And I have had quite the journey of my own with nutrition, so I've been able to bring in a lot of knowledge there and then from what I've learned. And now I'm doing a lot of online health coaching, group health coaching and private coaching, and I'm also doing a yoga teacher training. So it's always busy with me.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome, and I think that's why, we trained together with Jessica Drummond's program, and that's kind of how I saw you and what you're doing. And I myself have always been sort of on that bridge building between fitness and healthcare. And so immediately I was like, oh, wow, this gal, and saw what you're doing. And I just think that's really cool. And I think that speaks to what I'm trying to do with my work and also these interviews, this podcast. Is showing how creative, really embracing the feminine way, not necessarily, always just go pink or, it's a very strong, there's a grace, there's an attribute there that you don't even have to be a woman, but like using the creativity, community, bringing together all to really create that new thing. And I think that's awesome. So you were mentioning, which is one of these things that I think women in particular kind of just like, let's just see what I can get done. You moved over with your family, you're balancing, that integration with work into this lifestyle that you want. So you said a little bit about your personal story feeding into that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that personal story and how, because I think a lot of people see their pains and it stops them. And there's a uniqueness that you could see that and see that as an opportunity and open a whole new door.
For sure. Yeah, this is a big topic. I think I'll just,
just a touch, maybe. It's in your book, which is a great book. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'd say the biggest piece of my personal story, because I've dealt with some pelvic health issues of my own with pregnancy and postpartum, and I've dealt with, as I mentioned, a lot of nutrition issues of my own, digestive stuff. Oh my gosh. But I think the main central kind of focal point and what's really inspired me to do what I do and this focus on holistic, healthy living and just wellness and really kind of my mission in life, and what I feel like is my purpose in life, which is to help women smile more. Like I want to make women feel better. I just want them to feel better, because that's probably the biggest piece of my story is, for me, is that I have suffered with a lot of anxiety and depression in my life. And this is something that's kind of a continual struggle for me. There's a lot of it in my family. Now, I'm not saying that it's necessarily genetic, but there is some familial tendencies, of course. But, really I found that so much of what triggered me was my lifestyle and the choices that I was making. And I was able to control it through making healthier choices, with healthier for my body, which everyone is so different. So there's this bio-individuality component, but I found what I needed, and now I do it, because when I don't, I'm a mess. And I've seen firsthand how that can affect my entire family. My son, I have a little boy who's 9 now, and it's just, it's, even if you aren't doing it for you, if you have a family that you're doing it for, to help kind of really reinforce how important it is to take care of yourself. It's everything. It's taking care of yourself and doing what you need to do to be the best version of yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to be perfect, because you never will. And all of us have down days. I certainly do. But that's my biggest struggle, has been with depression, really. And so that's probably the main thing.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that story, because I think, we need to, it's approaching that vulnerability in a whole new way and letting it motivate you, and letting, the love for your family motivate you. And some of the other things that I know myself, I have a similar story. My dad had persistent pain, some depression, and some PTSD, and kind of seeing that. And so I got into mind, body, and understanding that. And it's understanding ourselves. I think that's really important. And I think as we go through life, we have this, like, I have the Guru Goddess tribe, and it's the idea of, you have all these guides inside of you. Your Guru Gal, your maiden, your mother, and the matriarch. And whether you're birthing a business, or birthing children, or birthing a family, or, a way of life, a career, it's that same idea of calling into your guides. So it really sounds like you had a moment where you're kind of listening for yourself and being able to help the rest, and blossomed from it.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's what I've tried to see it as, or I have seen it as. I guess I can say I'm there. That I see it not as a bad thing, but as a good thing, that I've had to deal with this myself, and that I've been able to bring the sunshine back into my life, and I can use that to help other people, and know that we're not bad when there's down days. And I think that's my biggest thing, is just knowing personally now that even when there is a down day, it's going to get better. And these down days these down times they're shorter and shorter, and there's more and more joy. I actually once heard this great thing that just made me feel so much better. It was that those of us who can be so high, we can get really low. But for me, that made me feel great. I was like, yes, it's because I can get so high. Like, that's a good thing. How beautiful that you can be so full of life and so happy that when you go down, it does knock you for a loop. But at the same time, how beautiful that you can get back up there again.
Great. That's beautiful. That really is inspiring. Thank you so much. So you mentioned how some of the, befriending that vulnerability and all that, that you learned. Is there anything now, as, moving on in motherhood, and even that matriarch role of wisdom, looking back, that you would tell your 20-year-old maiden, or even your inner gal now, that any key things that probably you take away now that you wish you could, or maybe you can have that moment where you sort of go inward and talk to her?
Oh, wow. So many great things come to mind. Okay, so I think two things come to my mind, and there's so much, but two things that I've really been experiencing myself lately as I really grow my business in new directions and really work with, some of that, and self-confidence, and just being okay with putting myself out there. Okay, three things. Sorry, three things.
Oh, great. It's helpful.
So The first thing is actually probably going back to the beginning of my business 7 years ago, actually. I started with the intention of teaching women about their bodies and their pelvic health. But I listened to advice from people around me, and it was probably good advice at the time. I'm not sure. You can never go back.
Yeah.
But I listened to advice that said, you can't talk to people about their vaginas and their pelvic floor. And like, nobody wants to hear that. So you need to package this in a different way that's more mainstream and more fun and fitness and that kind of thing. And then you can sneak it in. And so I think that was maybe good advice, but as time moves on and people become more open to this kind of thing, I mean, 7 years, it's been a long time. So people really, attitudes have changed quickly and are changing quickly and are becoming more open every day. And so it may just be a change of time. Maybe that was the perfect advice for that time. But I will say that now what you're hearing all the time is to niche down, make yourself very known, pull yourself out there. And now I almost regret when I see other people who are out there doing fitness for the pelvic floor, this and that for pelvic health and what have you. I'm like, gosh, too bad I didn't from the get-go really tell people that that is my thing. So I guess be true to yourself. I think that's a real important kind of goddess wisdom that we all need to know and claim. And I think it's getting easier and easier as time marches on and people become more open and the world becomes more cohesive. There's good things and bad things with the internet and technology, but there's a lot of good, and that mind's opening is a good thing. So be true to yourself. And then I think the other thing is know that if I could tell myself something that I wish I could go back and take something away that was told to me when I was younger, which is that you have to get a real job and you have to do something real. If you're doing something artistic, you can't make a living from that. If you're doing something creative, you can't make a living from that. And that's something that I'm currently working through on my own and working on overcoming that mindset, because I'm a creative person. That's just who I am. I'm not good at fitting into a box of for me, a clinical setting was a bit of a box. And I need a different setting than that. And so I'm having to work through the blocks that I was always told that you can't do something that is not in the box of standard, what the jobs are that are out there. Right. And so I think that just knowing that, the world is your oyster and you can, as long as you're living your passion, you can make whatever you want work for you, especially now. I think that it's an amazing time we're in. So I think, and then the only other thing was, you're speaking of the goddess and the mother wisdom and the creativity, again, that's just sort of inherent in women and females, is really owning that center of your body, that womb, your uterus, your central channel core, your lower chakras, those energy centers in your body. They're so juicy. And I love doing movements that wake up those areas. And I love actually putting my hands on my uterus area, that lower part of my body. And it's really fascinating. I've found that as I'm birthing creative projects, things happen in that area. Like I'll have a really awful, painful menstrual cycle, or it's just, things will feel different. It's just so neat to be able to connect in and actually go, holy mother, like this is amazing. I never knew that this was real. Right. That people kind of woo-woo people that I guess I'm becoming talk about is real, and it's amazing and beautiful when you honor it and listen to it and open up to it.
And I couldn't agree more. And that leads into, you had said you're now doing the yoga teacher training, and yoga is my thing. And a lot of it was, I think, for that is the energetics, when you're going to physical therapy school or you're in, more traditional mainstream allopathic models, it's so linear. Yes. And but if you're a fairly receptive person and you're really sort of just trying to connect with your clients, with your patients, with yourself, you start seeing where there's this overlap, and there's this biopsychosocial, you know, there's this mind and body, and even a person's like spirit. And I always say, you know, starting in athletic training with sports medicine, it was a blessing for me, because the athlete mindset and the whole package of, you know, the food you put in and the mindset, it was there. And so it was kind of weird for me to not see that, or see it so neglected, once I went into this, you know, more medicalized view of things as opposed to the fitness. And I think that's our biggest gap. So, you know, I'm so excited you're going into the yoga, because it celebrates that, and it allows for, you start seeing the overlap. And it's true. I call that area you're talking about, people, you know, their PowerPoint. Yeah. And, you know, they're going into there, and so many women hate and shame that area. You know, they just have this thing from even young. I mean, I used to do this Guru Gal connection, like there'd be like these young girls get together on Friday night, you know, girls' night out, and they were already 9-10 years old. I started noticing over the years it was getting younger and younger, and they're like, I don't like, you know, some air. They just didn't like that area. So it's kind of not surprising. There's so much digestive stuff, autoimmune stuff going on with women and everyone in general, but definitely with women. And you mentioned that you see some of that. And I know you work with your hip circles. Tell us a little bit about that program with the hips.
Yeah, I love hip circles. It's a beautiful movement. It's a very flowing feminine movement where you just circle your hips like you're circling on the ground beneath you with your pelvis. And you keep your upper body, your shoulders, and your head fairly still, so you can really hone in on the energy down there. And it's a really cool way, if you're interested in the chakra system or energetics, you can really feel that you can bring the energy up. It can really help you lighten your mood. And honestly, like I said, I like to make women smile, and I like to make myself smile. The world needs happier people. I mean,
yes.
The world always needs happier people. And I truly feel that when you do these motions, first of all, they get you into your body. They get you in touch with that part of your body that is so neglected and shamed in some cases. And then it can bring the energy up. And by the end, you just realize, especially if you bring in some bust circles where you start moving the top, and you just lighten up. It just brings a smile to your face. It's playful and it's fun. And so because I love it so much, I did create, and also the sort of Western medical, you know, allopathic side of it is that it is a great strengthening exercise and wonderful for activating the pelvic floor muscles. In fact, I just did a sort of self-study with a biofeedback device that I inserted vaginally, and was able to see what was going on with my pelvic floor muscles when I do hip circles and versus Kegels, and then hip circles with Kegels. So kind of sort of comparing it. It's really quite neat. The hip circles are very, very effective at making everything very active in that pelvic area. Super effective. Now they're really effective if you add an intentional Kegel to the hip circle, where you squeeze and lift forward and then fully release back. So that's just sort of another little, you know, helpful addition of reason why these circles are so great is the strengthening aspect. So I created an e-course that's based on circular multiplanar movements, so good for back pain and pelvic pain and just general core strengthening. So that's called the Circle Solution.
Awesome. And that's on your website as well, right?
Yeah, femfusionfitness.com has all that. And I apologize, my cat is...
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, this is it. You know, this is real life. This is how we get these things done. So, you know, we look at maybe, you know, that website, and we're seeing this lady, this beautiful lady on there, and she's got her products and she's got her book and this and that. But, you know, this is what it's about. This is how we get these things done. And I think, especially in our age group, I think like, you know, 35 to 55, growing up like 80s and 90s coming of age, we kind of got this like confusion thing between like Oprah Winfrey and like, you know, Martha Stewart. And, like, you know, like, it's like confusing. And there was like some moms that were like Gloria Steinem, and some moms that were like June Cleaver coming into that. So it's like, it makes it seem like, well, of course I can't do it because I'd have to work out of my home, or you can make a whole business out of your home and part-time hours. And I think, you know, even working now, mentoring some incoming, newbie physical therapists, or even women who have been working 10 years or so but need a change, they don't realize all that, you can do just a different way.
Yep, absolutely.
Your cat might be there.
Oh yeah, your cat's here. Exactly. You deal with life. Yeah, and that's what's so beautiful about today and technology. And, as I mentioned earlier, it's like there's good and there's bad. I really do feel that all of the energy of technology and social media and everything is very, very like this. And so that's another reason actually for getting into your body and doing things like hip circles,
grounding
movements, and just moving your body, is because we spend so much time in front of the computer. And I do think that it's disturbs our energies. And so we need to come down. We need to come down. And that's very helpful. But yes, we're circling back around. We are very shocked. All over the place. But yeah, it's amazing all that we can do. And cats, kids, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to do. And there's no limits, really. It's a beautiful thing.
Right. So talking to your passion. So what are you passionate about now, Brianne? What are you working on now? Where can they find you? What, how can my audience connect with you? Because it sounds like you have such awesome stuff to offer.
Thank you. I have a lot to offer. I have, like I said, I really can't be fit into a box. So it's a very broad perspective, lots of information, but always with a focus on feeling good and having fun and never punishing yourself with exercise or food or anything. And just really bringing it all together in a very safe, natural, holistic way. So my website is femfusionfitness.com, and that's FEMfusionfitness.com. And I have health coaching programs that I'm really excited about. This brand new coaching club that's going to be it's growing right now. It's small, little diamond in the rough for those who find it early. We can get in there, and it's a really cool way to just connect with me. I'm in the group every single day answering questions, and it's beautiful. So the coaching club is new and something I'm very excited about. And then I have private coaching as well. And then my e-courses, the Circle Solution that we mentioned, and the Weekend Reboot. So just lots of information on my blog. I do have a free 3-part training for women that is a really nice way to kind of get to know more about me and my work and my philosophies. So it's about pelvic health and postural awareness. And then we move on to my feel-good fitness philosophy. And then I have information about making healthy changes that last. So that's what people can find if you go to my site, and there's a thing that says free gifts or freebies. Gosh, I can't remember what it says, but it's pretty clear.
There's something on there. And I'll have a link. I'll have the links on there that you mentioned, so make it easy for everyone. So is there a parting tip that maybe women who are watching this, men who are watching this, anyone watching this, you could think what we could tell the next generation?
Oh, wow.
There's a parting thought. I know there's a billion, but...
There's a billion parting thoughts. I think the main thing is to, you are where you are, and where you are is perfect. And don't be too hard on yourself if you're not exactly where you think you should be, because should is just a bad word. It's a terrible word. We don't want to think about should. We are where we are. Be happy where you are. Make the most of where you are by eating clean, moving every day, and shining brighter. And that's my tagline, is just, take care of yourself. You're worth it. You're worth the effort. And you can do so much better if you aren't feeling awesome where you are, or at least good where you are. You can feel better, and there's so much hope.
Definitely. And if you have an idea for anyone right now sitting here and maybe getting inspired with their little idea, do you have one thing you'd tell her?
Get up and do some hip circles, girlfriend. I'm serious. You gotta get up. Here, I'm gonna do it too.
I know, we should both do it.
Hips, and oh my gosh, you make them big, and you stretch your back out.
There you go. Awesome.
And you get those muscles working. Oh, it's so nice.
It really is. There's so much power there that it's like a total release.
Oh, it is. It's so good. And then if you put your hands behind your head like this and just kind of get everything going, oh, doesn't that feel good? Just
So everyone watching this, I hope you're joining us.
Dance party.
Thank you so much, Brianne. You're so much fun.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I will, I will definitely have all of those links on there. Anyone who wants more information, please go to her website. And that's it. That's it for today. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.